$5 your way with the Lux Cravings boxes from Taco Bell. There's the classic $5 box, the indulgent $7 box, and a whole new obsession in the $9 box, the Flamin' Hot Grilled Cheese Burrito. Try the Lux Cravings boxes at Taco Bell today.
Hey Bronco Nation, this is Boise State football wide receiver Ben Ford. I've had to face some setbacks on the field this past season, but toughness isn't about staying down. It's about getting back up. I am proud to represent Lithia Ford of Boise, where you can find the largest selection of Ford trucks that are built tough and, like me, handle the hits and keep pushing forward. Come check out the incredible inventory and competitive pricing at Lithia Ford of Boise. And when you buy here, you're not just getting a truck, you're supporting Boise State athletics and Lithia Ford NIL partnerships. Come see us at Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho.
Find your sun with Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea. Made with real iced tea and real vodka. Cold, refreshing, and made for moments like these all year long. Let the good times cruise with Sun Cruiser.
As sports fans, we may cheer for different teams, but there's one thing that we can all agree on. We want the game to be big. And with 3 levels, 30 cabanas, a 143-foot screen, 6 clean pools, and endless cold drinks, it doesn't get any bigger or any better than Stadium Swim in Las Vegas. All sports, all seasons. It's more than a pool deck. Stadium Swim. It's the only thing like it in the world.
The final buzzer has sounded on another night of basketball out west. And it's time to break down the action with Tom Mosser on Another Night Out West, presented by Circa Sports. Heading to Las Vegas for our guys' weekend or to watch the Pac-12 or Mountain West basketball tournaments? Make sure to stay at Circa Las Vegas and watch all the action at Stadium Swim, where the sports are on 365 days a year. While you're there, check out the world's largest sports book and make sure to eat at Barry's Prime Steakhouse. Book your reservations today at circalasvegas.com. Another Night Out West features interviews, analysis, opinions, and more from the Pac-12, the Mountain West, the WCC, and beyond. If it's happening out west, we're talking about it on Another Night Out West. Subscribe on YouTube and don't miss a show at youtube.com/@Another Night Out West. Did your team just get a big win? How about a bad loss? Come discuss it with us. Send us a comment or question in the ICCU YouTube chat or leave us a voicemail at speakpipe.com/BNN.
Like you said, he's in big moments, ton of experience.
Amazing arena. We have the altitude. Like you said, we have.
Now let's go to the Sun Cruiser Studios and join Coach Tom Mosser for Another Night Out West on Bronco Nation News.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Sun Cruiser Studios. Nice round of applause there. We got the laugh tracker, the applause tracker. Like
that was a second late hitting play on it, but oh well.
Like we're on Family Feud here.
Yeah.
Welcome to Another Night Out West. I'm your host, Tom Mosser. With me tonight, as he has been for the last few weeks, is B.J. Rains, of course. We're a night late, a rare Monday night episode, B.J., of Another Night Out West. Thank our fabulous sponsors first, Sun Cruiser, as you see down there in the bottom right. Real iced tea, real vodka, or real lemonade, real vodka. Also,
I got the pink lemonade tonight. I went with pink lemonade.
Pink lemonade. I have not had the pink.
The straight lemonade vodka, no tea, just straight pink lemonade. Thought I'd give that one a try today. 100 calories, only 1 gram of sugar. It's great stuff. And then no bubbles. The big thing, Tom, is no carbonation. So it's not like a Truly or whatever. We have all those carbonation. No carbonation, goes down smooth. Perfect beverage. Pick up a Sun Cruiser today.
That is perfect. If I know anything about Sun Cruiser, I know it'll taste good regardless of what flavor it is, because they all taste, they go down easily, right, BJ?
Yes.
Anyway, so we're delayed today, but no worries there. Thank all of you for joining in now or later. As BJ said last week, and we got some new subscribers. If you guys are not already subscribed, as you see it going along the bottom right there, you see right there, youtube.com/@Another Night Out West. Make sure you subscribe. All you got to do is click the subscribe button, right? And watch through the YouTube feed. We would really appreciate that. Saw a bunch of people this weekend. I was at a basketball tournament that I kind of help out with a little bit up in my old stomping grounds, and saw numerous people, handfuls of people who comment on, are you still doing Mountain West? And I said, well, not only are we doing Mountain West, my friend, but we're doing Mountain West and Pac-12. Check out the show, Another Night Out West, so we'll get some new viewers. Stay in touch with that, and enjoy the off-season shows, and then, of course, into the winter. And before we forget, Circa Sports as well, for all of your needs out in Vegas. Hit Circa Sports and the Stadium Swim, the great folks out there in Vegas.
Quick plug for their contest, real quick. $1,000 entry fee, Tom. You can get some buddies together if you want to pool together. They got contest weekend coming out about a month from now, late August. I'll be out there. We'll be hanging out, doing some live shows. There's some open bar events, pool party. You go out there, they give you half off your room at Circa as well, 50% off your room. You get some free beverages, free pool party, and you sign up for the football contest. You use our proxy, Tom Carroll. They get you signed up, and then you can go back to Philadelphia or Vegas, or I guess not, you're already in Vegas, but Boise or wherever else you live, anywhere in the world, you can play legally through your proxy. So we get you signed up while you're in Vegas. You can play for fun. It's a Survivor Pick 5 for the NFL, and they also have a pick 5 for the NFL. Then they have a regular Survivor contest for the NFL as well. That one's given $20 million, winner take all. And like I said, get 2 or 3 buddies together. It's only a couple $100. You get some cool stuff. You get to hang out at Circa for a weekend. It's next month. If you are interested in that, reach out to me, Rains@BroncoNationNews.com, and we'll help get you all the details.
Now, that's quite the plug. I did see something about the $20 million purse for that. So interesting. I know they get quite a few entries for that. So definitely something keep you interested in all season. Well, I don't know about all season. That's up to you. How well?
No, I was I've been out week 1 before for a $1,000 Survivor. That's always fun. The first week of the season, be done.
That's what I mean. It doesn't guarantee you're in, but I guess that's up to you. How well you know your NFL stuff. So okay. Anyway, so last week we talked with Sundance Wicks and Coach Leon Rice. 2 great interviews.
No, last week he's tonight. You said Sundance Wicks. He's tonight.
I thought I said Leon Rice and Vance Wahlberg. Oh, I said okay. All right.
Wahlberg and Rice last week.
Wahlberg and Rice last week. I'm all off center here.
I know. Monday night, man.
Point being, we're not going to talk about anything tonight other than our 2 guests and teams. Ali Farokhmanesh with Colorado State, Sundance Wicks with Wyoming. So we'll start out with CSU, a little border war edition tonight, right, BJ?
Yeah, and they're both talkers too, so we're going to keep our talking to a limit because these are probably going to be some nice long interviews.
No longer conference foes, but still rivals. They are going to play in football. They are going to play in basketball. The fan bases want that, a little bit juicier, right? You only play once a year, so, I mean, you got to bring it on that night, right? And so CSU, one of the teams moving to the Pac-12, been a successful program the last few years. We're within a buzzer beater of making it to the Sweet 16. We're in the NCAA tournament several times in the last few years now. Nico Medved moves to Minnesota in the Big Ten. Ali Farokhmanesh comes in last year in his first year. They started off piping hot, led the nation in three-point shooting for a large portion of the season. Hit a mid-season lull, had some injuries, picked it up towards the end of the year, qualified for the NIT. Not bad for a first-time head coach in Farokhmanesh. They bring back a lot. They retain a lot. The portal they didn't go after a ton because of how much they retained. And so different type of roster build for different programs. But there's reason for optimism for this program in Fort Collins, BJ.
Yeah, no doubt about it. 4 starters back, 7 returners in all. And you talk about, Kerry Booth and what he did last year, over 10 points, 5 rebounds a game, 32 starts in his first season. Really like Kerry Booth and what he could do. Was he in Illinois? Where was he at before? Illinois, right? Or Notre Dame?
He didn't get a lot of run at Illinois, but yes.
Okay. Then did he go Notre Dame or something or no?
He did. He went Illinois and Notre Dame.
Okay,
he always had the CSU connection because his father was the GM of the Nuggets. I think he was let go either at the end of this year, or maybe even it was at the end of, I guess it was at the end of last year.
Yeah.
But he was always in the area, and CSU had been on him a couple times. So after he tried 2 different power schools, then it kind of was like, all right, let's come home here.
Well, I like him. 6'10" guy. I think Kerry Booth, also a great free throw shooter, by the way, which is pretty rare for a big guy like him. But, having Kyle Jorgensen back, I know he was out missing, part of the time last year with an injury, but a guy like that, over 11.5 points per game, made 41 threes last year, so he can stretch the floor. To have Jorgensen and Kerry Booth, I think that's going to be one of the better interiors or down post players in the Pac-12. And then I like what they have at guard too. Jace Butler's back, 19 starts last year. He shot 41.5% from 3-point range. Barely played at Washington. Tom came over, did some really nice things for Colorado State. I like what he does. Pasquarelli as well, also shot 41.5% from 3. He made 61 last year, 26 starts after he came over from Marist. So to have, two guards that both made significant time in terms of, what they can do shooting the basketball. You mentioned the 3-point shooting, by the way. They still finished 11th in the country in shooting the 3-ball, led the conference there. So great things there. And then they added a couple nice guys as well, a couple intriguing pieces in the portal. I know they like their point guard play with Pops Dunson there as well, but really they only lost Brandon Rechsteiner. He went to Kansas State. Other than that, Jevin Munitz left as well. But, they brought a lot back, and I think there's a lot of reasons to be excited there. And I'm still kind of putting together the preseason Pac-12 rankings. You're obviously probably going to have Gonzaga, San Diego State, but I think Colorado State could be right there for anywhere from 2 to 4. I like Gonzaga first. We'll see what San Diego State ends up doing with their roster. If they have a spot or two left, some of these international transfers, they're probably 2 for me. Utah State with Falls Love, I like them, but I think Colorado State's going to be right there in that 3, 4, 5 range, upper half of the conference. 21 wins, nice year one, as you said. I'm excited. I think Colorado State's got a chance to have a nice year.
Yeah, I think if they're not top 4, I think coach and the fan base will be a little disappointed. Tough league. We've talked about that in all of our episodes so far, but with what they brought back and more experience on the coaching staff and the head chair and some of the assistants, and I think good league or not, they're a good program now. They don't expect to just kind of fall back. They're a consistent top 75-ish team in the metrics, KenPom and that stuff the last handful of years. So, yeah, I think, their goal is going to be to make the NCAA tournament this year. That could certainly happen in a 3rd or 4th place out of the Pac-12. So I'm interested to see what Coach has to say. We got some questions lined up for him. So let's take a quick 30-second break, and we will come back with Coach Ali Farokhmanesh.
The biggest contest we've ever seen.
Seriously, what's the guarantee?
They're still talking about it.
I think it's time to put the rumors to rest.
Showtime!
$30 million.
$30 million?
$30 million? $30 million?
That's $30 million guaranteed. 3 contests, multiple ways to win, no rate. Entry starting at $1,000. Enter in Nevada, play from anywhere.
All right, we're back here on another night out west. Our coaches series continues. This time we are joined by second-year head coach Ali Farokhmanesh of Colorado State. Pretty successful first season for the Rams as they qualified for the NIT. Came up just short of the NCAA tournament. Hoping to make some improvements where that's concerned this season. Coach, welcome to our series. Good to talk to you. How are things going out there in Fort Collins?
They're good so far. We're still 0-0, so that's great. And then you announcing me as a second-year coach sounds way better now too. I'm more comfortable and whatnot. But no, things are really good. It's been a fun off season so far, and having that many guys back makes it a lot easier going into the off season too.
How do you feel about your team, Coach? I mean, obviously, as I said, you said the 4 starters back that we can get into and a bunch of continuity there. But I know it's the middle of July here, but what is kind of the big picture overview of how you feel about things right now?
Yeah, it's funny. Have you guys ever gotten on here and somebody's like, I don't like my team in July? That's I'm sure everybody's like, they're going to be great. But
Tad Boyle told me the other day that he loves his team until he looks at the schedule.
Well, yeah, until I saw the teams were playing in Maui, I feel the same way. But no, it is different when you have that many guys returning. Practice feels different. When you go into the workouts, it feels different. You have so much more leadership out there that are not only helping that, like the guys around them, but all the young guys. It makes it so much easier when their voices. I'm not coaching everything anymore. I got Kerry Booth now that's coaching them up. Jace Butler, Rashawn obviously knows this better than anybody else, being in his 4th year. He might be the last player in the country that's been in the same place for 4 years. So we had all that continuity. The whole point of this, and we talk about it all the time, is like we have to be good early. Like we have to be good early. If we're good early and now being the Pac-12, you will absolutely have a chance to be in that large team in the NCAA tournament. And so having that continuity is going to give us a chance that our floor is way higher than it was to start the season than it was last year. And that's just because I didn't even realize it until we talked about it the other day. I think we returned 23 total minutes that played for us last season. And it was Rashawn and Kyle, and they played the same position. So really it was like he didn't return anything else. So for us to have that continuity going into the year, looking at kind of a study the other day, but the 2 teams that we compared to the most in terms of percentage of points returning, assists, minutes, everything, were comparable to Purdue and UConn from last year. And one went to the national championship and one went to the Sweet 16. So I feel decent about where we're at. I'm not saying we're going to the national championship or anything, but what I mean is like we have the continuity in place to have early success going into non-conference.
With Kerry Booth and Kyle Jorgensen in particular, I know Kyle was banged up for part of last season and missed some time. I know that was obviously a big deal that impacted you guys, but just to have 2 guys with size like that, both double-digit scores coming back. I know Tom wants to talk about the guard position in a minute, but just with Kerry and Kyle to have both those guys in that size and what they provide, how big is that to kind of build around?
Yeah, and I think everybody knows, like, going through the portal, like, if you can return your bigs or any big to your roster, like, that's massive. Like, and I think for us, not only return our starting 4-man, our starting 5-man, and Rashawn, our backup 5-man, I don't know anybody else in the country besides maybe Florida that's doing that right now. And so that gives us an opportunity right away. And I think you guys have watched us enough over the years too. Like that 5-man spot and the 4 spot, those are 2 of the most important positions for us in our offense. And so for us to return those guys, and I think Kyle's also going to be able to move and flip-flop playing the 4 some this year, that gives us a whole different dynamic that we can play out of. And Kerry being in the same place for his 2nd year, that hasn't happened since his sophomore year of high school. So just having that continuity, he feels so much more comfortable with me. I feel comfortable with him that I can challenge him because he knows, like, I love him. I'm going to take care of him, and it's only me trying to help him grow. And so he's taken a huge jump, not only from the spring, but the summer too. And Kyle's the same way. Kyle's leadership's grown. That was the biggest step for me with him. Was I knew he was going to get better at basketball. He works at it. He loves hoops. But was he going to do the things necessary to change his body? Was he going to make the nutrition steps? Was he going to get the 9 to 10 hours of sleep every night? Was he going to be able to learn the leadership aspects of how you got to lead a program? You're not like you get everything as a leader, but then you have to give yourself away to everybody else. And I think that's what's grown the most with Kyle is his leadership. He's obviously gotten better at basketball too, but to me, that was my focus for him was how much of a leader he needed to grow into going into this season.
So, Coach, we've talked about a lot of the knowns. You got a lot of known quantities, right, between Kyle, Rashawn's experience, Butler, Booth. Let's talk about one of the maybe lesser knowns, and that's your point guard position. We talked off camera here about Jevin and what a successful season he had for you guys last year, barring some type of other change, which seems to happen in the NCAA every other day. This time of the way college hoops is, you're without Jevin Muniz, so it's going to fall in the hands of JoJo McIver. So JoJo got a lot of minutes last year. He was up and down, had some high points. He had some moments where he was struggling a little bit. You stuck with him. I think it's easy to forget. You were on the bench for this. Kyan Evans, when he was a young gun under Isaiah as his backup, he had some uneven moments too, and then he really skyrocketed. So for me, that was one of my keys. If you can get that leap like Kyan took for JoJo, I think that just elevates your ceiling so much. Agree, disagree, and what have you seen so far from JoJo here in the offseason?
I'll just leave it at agree. No, it's true though. JoJo's taken a jump. He had a great spring, and I think that's what was unique for us too. Is you had 8 guys returning. We only took 2 guys out of the portal, and so this spring, like I was in the gym with the guys, and that did not happen before. And that doesn't get to happen for a lot of people because you're going on visits, you're going out to see kids and whatnot. Mm-hmm. You got to be recruiting. And we didn't have to do as much recruiting. Armando Miller committed to us pretty early, so we only needed 1 more after that. We only had 3 visits total. And so I got to be in the gym with the guys. And I think that we were able to make a huge jump. Our staff wasn't out recruiting like crazy. We were in the gym with the guys and able to actually do what college basketball to me is supposed to be about, is developing young men. And so that was fun for me. Like I got to coach basketball this spring, and that doesn't happen in today's age as much. So that jump, like JoJo's able to make a jump because of the spring. Now he's hurt right now. So he's out for a little bit, but we also brought in Pops Dunson from Georgia. He's a freshman, and he's had a great summer so far. And actually JoJo being out right now is not hurting JoJo's development as much because he knows what's going on now. But those new guys from Pops and Justin Menard, they're getting a ton of reps now. So they get to go through the offense. They get to learn a lot more. Had JoJo been here in the summer, to be honest, I think it's a little bit of a silver lining. Those guys are getting more experience now because JoJo's is out. Mm-hmm. Now JoJo's going to get back, and like he'll be fine. He's not missing a bunch of stuff. He got the skill development in the spring, but I think Justin and Pops are really getting an opportunity to show that. And kind of what you said, Jevin wasn't necessarily our point guard, but pseudo was our point guard. He was the one that was making a lot of the reads and those decisions for us. And Jace is going to be put in that spot too. And Jace is going to kind of act like a pseudo point guard. He was a point guard in high school. And you started to see that he really came on the second half of the season. If you look at his numbers overall, it doesn't show the whole picture. If you look from him the end of January to the season ending, I mean, he had a hell of a finish to his season, and I'm expecting that same jump for him going into this season now.
So you mentioned the two guys you brought in. Menard follows in the footsteps of Pasquarelli, a second consecutive Marist transfer. I'm sure you're hoping he has the same kind of success that Josh gave you last year. The one that's really intriguing and that there's some unknowns about is Armando Miller, as you mentioned, a D2. Was he a D2 All-American, right? Like he was comes in pretty highly touted. What can we expect? What kind of player is Miller? What have you seen? How's he fit in with the guys and taken to the system so far?
He's just a winner. He wants to compete. He shows up every day with the right mentality. We thought we needed to add a big wing. Thought one thing that we were missing last year was a really good defensive wing that could rebound and guard multiple positions. And he does that. He provides that for us. He's shown it already this summer. He's a legit 6'7". He's a good athlete. He's already been at the Division I level too. He started out at Colorado, and that helped with the recruiting process because Neek was there with him when he was there too. So we already had I think it matters when you have a kid from Colorado. I think it means a little bit more to him that he's representing his home state. And it's been fun to coach him. He obviously scored 22 points a game last year and averaged 8.5 rebounds. And now he's going to take a little bit of a different role, but he's a guy that can go score the ball for us too. And I'm excited. We haven't really had that wing since Neek left. And I think us having another defensive wing is big for us.
Yeah, the Colorado point is interesting. I mean, it certainly worked out for Neek, right? Again, let's hope you get the same production from Armando. Last one for me here for now. Let BJ get back in a second. You guys have a fair amount of freshmen. You don't see that as much anymore with the transfer portal being everything or international really for recruiting. You guys have a fair amount of freshmen. You mentioned Pops Dunson already. Any freshmen that you see getting in there into the mix, or is that going to kind of be determined by how it shakes out on the floor in September and October?
Yeah, I mean, you never know, right? They gotta earn it at the end of the day. But all three of those three guys that we recruited in the fall, the whole idea for them was like they're gonna have an opportunity to play from day one, and it's still true today. Eric Fiedler obviously had a great high school career and had options to go to some pretty high level places and chose Colorado State. And I think we're always going to go after high level freshmen. I believe in our development. I believe in how we go about it. It's been proven over time, and I think if we get the right kids in here, they're going to develop they will get better. Nobody's come here and not gotten better. Maybe it doesn't work out exactly the way it should and whatnot, but everyone that leaves here gets better. And Eric has an opportunity to be a really good player. He's a big-time shooter. He's a legitimate 6'8" with size, broad shoulders. Like he's only gonna grow as he develops here. And then Jaden Goreshi out of Spokane, Washington. To be honest, we just never had a kid like that. He's 6'10" with a 40-inch vertical, can make shots, can pass the ball. He's different. It reminds me of I'm not saying he's David Roddy at all, but he reminds me of that in the sense of David Roddy, where you just sometimes watch him and you're like, that dude's just different.
Ali Farokhmanesh, our guest, head coach, Colorado State, and we're this is another night out west. We're presented by Circa Sports. And Tom, when I say Circa, I think our guest here has actually been to Circa, and he may have even ridden in the Circa limo, if I've heard the story correctly at some point. So I know he's all about the sponsor here, Circa, right, Ali?
Yeah, BJ. BJ hooked me up with that too, and like those guys took care of us. We had a good time. Well, the only time now is I want to go when there's sporting events going on. We went in August, like the middle of August, between like football and baseball and everything, and we didn't get the full stadium experience.
You needed to be there in the last month when the World Cup was going on.
That's all I was. Legitimately, that's all I was thinking about. But I got to coach basketball, I guess.
Yeah.
We'll find another time to get you back, but
we'll get another time.
Everybody that loves Circa wants to go back, but you mentioned just the continuity, having these guys back, but going into, I mean, you feel good about things, and I joked about what Tad Boyle said till he looks at his schedule. But I mean, you think about the league you're going into now with Gonzaga and these other, I mean, looking at what Oregon State's done in the portal and some of these other teams, and obviously you know well about Utah State and Boise State and some of these teams. So what do you look at in terms of a successful season here? I know getting back to the NCAA tournament certainly is the goal, but I mean it's going to. I was talking that we talked to Leon earlier, and it's like it's going to be hard to finish in the top half of this league. I mean it's going to be really hard with all these teams. So how do you guys look at where you think you fit in this pecking order, and where I should be predicting you here in this Lindy's magazine going into the season here?
Man, BJ, I have no idea. I think the best part about this league now is like you look in the investments from the programs. I think Oregon State invested a lot in their basketball program this year. Utah State obviously invested a ton in their roster as well. They have continuity. They have a new coach. He's not a very good coach though, right?
Oh, Coach Q, that's right. I didn't even think about that. Oh my goodness,
I'm not excited about that. Like,
yeah,
your friends, but and obviously he's an elite coach. I probably talk to him twice a week throughout the entire season, so I don't know who I'm going to call now, but we'll figure that out later. But from an investment standpoint, I mean, Boise's been investing in basketball for a long time now. Obviously, San Diego State, it matters to them, and Gonzaga's on a different atmosphere right now. And I think that's the floor of this league is very high, but the ceiling's also high. When you add Gonzaga, it changes the ceiling of the league. And BJ, I think it's the opportunity for us to get games. You look at Boise's schedule, even some of the games they've announced. They're getting some high-level games. San Diego State's always been able to do that. Gonzaga's always been able to do that. I think the rest of the league is starting to realize, like, I'm going to cheer for every single team in this league, because if we all do well in the non-conference, I know this conference schedule will put us in a place that we can get multiple bids. But it all depends on how we do in the non-conference. So I want everybody to come out of the gate swinging.
So random one for me. It has nothing to do with your team, but one of the stories they had me doing for Lindy's is on sports gambling and just how crazy that's become lately. And you guys being in Colorado, a state where there is a Circa Sports and it's legalized sports gambling there in Colorado. What's that like, a second-year coach here, and what do you have to do to kind of educate your guys on all that and the whole prop bet thing? And we've seen, I mean, Fresno State, it was a public thing. There was issues with that in this league. You're talking about with prop bets and things like that. So how much of a concern is that for you? How much was NIL supposed to not make this something that kids were going to have to go do? And just how much do you educate them, and just your thoughts on the prevalence of sports gambling in college basketball right now?
Yeah, it was interesting. Like there was a panel like 3 or 4 years ago that it's ironic you brought up Tad Boyle, but Tad Boyle brought it up and said that was the biggest issue that he was concerned about. And we were talking about NIL and everything else going on and like realignment. And he literally, that was the thing he said. And it's come to fruition. I think that is one of the biggest issues right now. And it's not only an issue from your kids on your team that having to deal with it, but then people DMing those kids and reaching out to them. And like most of the people that are saying the stuff that are negative towards our players are people that just gambled on the game. Mm-hmm. And I think our guys understanding that too and talking to them. And I think you got to be honest with them that you're going to get approached. You're going to be put in those positions, and you got to make the right decision. You have to say no, and you got to walk away from it. And how do you get them off social media too? I think that's huge for us. Is like we try to do a lot of things where we put our phones up, just because it's not always healthy to be on your phone, whether it's for the gambling or just to be on social media. But it's absolutely an issue, and it's the accessibility to it. It's just so much easier to put yourself in those situations, and you have to do your due diligence and not allow yourself to be put in those situations, and try to steer yourself away from those type of people too.
Have you noticed any difference since it became legal in Colorado in terms of the apps and all that versus when people are just using their corner bookies and stuff or going to Vegas?
I mean, no, but I'm not really. Well, I can't gamble, but like that's just not my personality in general, anyways. So I haven't really noticed a difference. We haven't had too many issues with our guys. They've been brought up a few times about people that say stuff to them or DM them on Twitter or whatnot, or X or whatever you want to call it. But I can't say I've noticed anything specifically personally on my end.
File those under questions that you never thought you would get asked when you got into coaching after your playing career was done, right? I mean, it's amazing what the things that we have to worry about are now. Let me ask you alluded to this a little bit earlier, and Coach Olin, we had him on last week or a couple weeks ago. He said the same thing about rooting for all the teams in the Mountain West for their success in the non-con to boost your conference's profile. And I did a thing a few weeks ago about like a different type of goal for each team. Obviously, your goals are to make the NCAA tournament, win a conference championship. I had a different goal for each team. For you guys, I said win a quad one game in Maui. That Maui field is incredible. I don't think the matchups are out yet, right?
No.
Okay. But it's certainly possible that you guys get an Arizona or a BYU in on day one, right? Or maybe a Clemson or a Providence, or certainly a game that's going to be quad one. You're certainly going to get a second quad one game too, maybe even a third. So, I mean, speak to what you're looking forward to going out in addition to the beaches, what you're hoping to get out of Maui, what that should be like when you guys head there towards the end of November.
Yeah, the quality games. At the end of the day, like we were trying to the whole goal of the non-conference schedule was we needed to have between and total what we're projecting is like we'll have 9 to 10 quad one, quad two opportunities in league next year out of the 16 games. So you're in a good spot for the league play.
That's crazy, by the way, to think about 10 of your 16 games. That's
right. And that's hopeful. Like, you never know. Right. But that's what you're thinking at this point. Then after that, you got to get to, we looked at what at-large teams, right? From last year, how many quad one, quad two opportunities did they actually play in for at-large bids? And it was somewhere between 16 and 19, basically. And so we felt like we had to go get seven at least more quad one, quad two opportunities. Well, you instantly have 3 of them in Maui. I think in the Texas event that we have set up right now, we'll have 2 more right there. Nevada will be really good. I think Florida Atlantic's been a quad one, quad two opportunity for us on a neutral court. We're at Colorado. That will be a quad one, quad two opportunity. Yep. Loyola Chicago, you're hoping stays at a quad one, quad two opportunity as well at home. We have those opportunities ahead of us. And then it's already announced. It doesn't matter. We're playing at Wisconsin as well. So
nice.
We have enough quad one, quad two opportunities to set ourselves up to be in position for the NCAA tournament. And that's the whole goal. And so I'm not really worried about wins and losses and whatnot. How can this team become the best version of itself as we go on throughout the season? And I'm not going to put limits on it. We'll see where we go from there. And I think most of us put self-imposed boundaries on where we can go, and I'm not going to do that to this group. I'll see what the max is, and my only goal as a coach is to get us there.
Well, I don't remember.
The rest will take care of itself then. It'll take care of itself if you guys follow the process. Yeah, absolutely.
Tom, Allie, I don't remember if you've ever been to Maui before, like for the tournament. That was my first time last year going with Boise State to cover that, and I walked into that Civic Center and got chills, man. It was you watch that thing as a basketball fan growing up for my entire life, and it's what you did on Thanksgiving was Jay Billis and Bill Walton and all this stuff. And when I walked in for that first game for Boise State, I was literally like, "This is hard to believe I'm here. Hard to believe Boise State's here." Like it gave me chills. It was pretty darn cool to be there, and so hope you guys and your team it's going to be an awesome experience for your fans. Everybody I talked to loved it. I mean, it's a big deal to be in that tournament, and that's pretty cool for you guys. You're going to have a great time.
No, 100%. That's right. That's what you dream of. Like, it's exactly what you said, BJ. That is the tournament to me that starts college basketball. Like, until those games happen, like, it's kind of on the back burner still with college football. And then once Maui happens, then it's like, okay, basketball season's about to happen now.
And how small the gym is and everything they talk about it, and you get in there and it's true, but you see those flowers and the paint on the floor and you're just like, all right, man, this is pretty darn cool. So, hey, we really appreciate you giving us time today on the show, and best of luck with everything moving forward. And hopefully after a big win at some point, you can jump back on with Tom this season and we can catch up with you again soon. But we always appreciate your time with us, Allie, and thanks for doing this.
No, absolutely. Thank you, guys. Good to see you guys again. Can't wait to get the season going. Geez, it's going to happen before we know it.
Yep, you know it. And I'm sure it just goes faster and faster for you guys because you don't have any downtime anymore. So enjoy what you get, I guess, right?
Exactly. I'll be in Disney in August with the kids, which also isn't really downtime, but it'll be great.
True.
Thanks, Coach.
All right,
Thanks,
my friends,
guys.
take it easy. All right, good stuff there from Ali Farokhmanesh. Really some good thoughts on his roster, their scheduling. I had a few notes. He gave us a lot of his good time right there, so I didn't want to keep peppering him with questions. But a couple things have stuck out to me, BJ. One is the point that he made about developing players there at CSU. Almost a lost art for a lot of programs because they just pluck guys from other schools. If you don't like the way that guy X is playing, well, I'm not going to wait around for guy X next year. I'm going to go get guy Y because he did well at another school, right? CSU has developed guys. Look at guys that stuck around like David Roddy, Isaiah Stevens, and Nee Clifford, right? Now, they did lose a couple of guys when the transition happened from Medved to Farokhmanesh. A couple of them went to Minnesota with Nico, including Crocker Johnson, who was a good big guy for them. Kyan Evans, who I talked about, he went to North Carolina. Now, he has since left North Carolina, and I could be wrong. He may have followed Medved up to Minnesota, and I should probably have
He is there now, back there, I think, yeah.
Okay. But they do a good job of retaining their guys. So if he's excited about some of these young guys and they develop them and they can keep them, that's how you get your program. I'm not saying they'll get to the level of Gonzaga, but you can keep upgrading and being like a San Diego State where you expect then to be in the tournament 8 out of 10 years instead of like 3 out of 10 years, right? So they do a good job of developing players, and I think Ali was a big part of that when he was an assistant under Medved, and I think he'll continue to be a big part of that. And as will his assistants be now that he's the head coach. So I thought that was interesting. I also did not know about the Wisconsin game. So they have a pretty good schedule there. Again, at Colorado, so that, at worst will be quad 2. At Wisconsin will be quad 1. Regardless of who the Maui matchups are.
That's loaded. They're going to get all kinds of good matchups
probably
out
3
there.
quad 1s. The Nevada game on a neutral is probably quad 1 if the Wolfpack are what we think. So that's like, and look, he said it. He's like, I'm not really worried about the wins, and that's where the process thing will take care of itself. Now, obviously, you need to win a couple of those, or else your at-large chances are shot anyway. But it's just the fact that you're playing all of those games will help your metrics, right? And so that's a massive thing for them. And I'll let you. Why don't you go ahead? I got one other thing, but why don't you? What were your takeaways from what we heard from Ali?
No, I just think his demeanor and everything in year 2 is, we always talk to these coaches their first year, they're just swimming upstream. I know he had been there, so it wasn't like he was brand new to Colorado State, but when you move over to the office in the corner instead of the office, over there on the side, it's a lot different. It's a much bigger deal. So when it comes to the recruiting side, the portal side, they were obviously doing a lot last year, and he said they only had 2 guys in the portal this year, so he was able to get a lot of time with his guys. And I just think that comfort level going through a full year as the head coach and knowing what that entails as he gets ready for year 2, he just seems like he's in a really good place, and he's got a really good group coming back. And I'm pretty high on Colorado State this year. I like their roster.
Last thing quickly on the Rams, I do want to give a plug. We had talked about Jevin Muniz on there, an all-league performer a year ago, third team. I saw Jevin this weekend. He's from my area. Longtime listeners and followers will know that I talked about that. I coached him for a year. I saw him up at that tournament that I referenced at the start. Didn't really want to ask Ali about it because Jevin told me himself that he's a part of that California lawsuit where they're trying to get an extra year. So, he didn't want to get into too many details about it. He's not really handling stuff. His agent is. So who knows if CSU even has a spot for him, if he would go back. He said he was out there. He's been working out, just came back to the Valley to play around and see what's going on. But, it's one of those things. It's like you never know. And this one hits home for me because I know the person involved, but it's just an example of how crazy it is right now out there in college sports because there's still hundreds of guys maybe not hundreds, but 100 or 200 of guys that you don't know if they're going to be eligible or not. And the NCAA wants to double down like they did a few days ago and say we're glad that, you know, our committee is sticking up and not allowing this. We're not caving in. But yet there's 5 different lawsuits involving 100 players out there that are trying to get eligibility. So
that's why I told you last time they need to just do the blanket waiver and be done with it for this year.
I agree. And I don't think they're going to, because otherwise they wouldn't have doubled down a few days ago and said what they said. But I just found it interesting, and talking to Jevin about it, I wanted to mention him. You know, he had a great year and Ali knew that. So, you know, would like to see him play again. Might not happen, but we'll see. But anyway, so that was our Rams talk. Let's get to their rival across the, I guess that would be heading west, as we throw that up there. Yes, Dylan, one of the greatest shots in March Madness history. BJ knows all too well as a Kansas Jayhawk. Ali did hit that onions 3. He didn't really need to take the 3.
I give him crap for that every time I see him, because if there was still 35 seconds left, Kansas was only down by 1.
Yeah.
And if he misses that and Kansas gets the ball back, they had all the momentum and they probably win that game. It went from one of the dumbest shots to one of the best shots when it went in. They were in transition. He could have pulled it out. They would have had to foul probably. Right. It was not a great shot at the time, but once it went in, it became an amazing shot.
Well, no guts, no glory, I guess, is what he figured. And, you know, sometimes it pays off. And he had the stones to take it, and he had the stones to make it.
And we'll talk to his new coach or his former coach in a couple of weeks, right? Or next week?
Yeah, I think next week we're going to catch up with Coach Jacobson, and maybe you can ask him about that, since he is since he was the head coach of Ali when Ali hit that shot. So I can't believe that's over 15 years ago already. It really dates myself and a lot of us who remember watching it, but crazy stuff. Anyway, so let's move, I guess, west, right? We're going to move
west. You're going to gloss over this comment too?
Nice. Well, I need a haircut, Stable, so I appreciate you commenting on it. I need a haircut. But yes, you know, I don't know that I didn't really do a lot to it, but I need the haircut. It's too much on there for the summertime here. But thank you for that, Stable. Anyway, all right. Border war. We've talked Rams, talked to Ali. Let's talk to Sundance. Different conferences. We moved from the Pac-12 to the Mountain West. Another program similar to CSU, trending up in their respective league. Really good season a year ago for Wyoming and Sundance. They outperformed their preseason metrics by a wide margin. Now, part of that was due to a admittedly soft non-conference schedule in November, which allowed them to get off to a good start. And they beat up some of those teams, which helps. But look, they didn't have any bad losses. So and they went down to Lubbock and played a very good Texas Tech team that still had JT Toppin, and they kept it close for 40 minutes. And so, you know, stuff like that helps out. You know, it was kind of like a backhanded compliment that people were giving them through December. Like that was their best game of the year was a loss because they kept it close. But look, they had some good wins in conference play, and very similar to what we just talked about with Colorado State, they retained a lot. Sundance did a great job of retaining 4 core guys and starters for this season's unit. The portal, they did a little bit more in the portal than the Rams did. Didn't need to do as much because of the retention. But I think it's, you know, reason for optimism. Very similar to the Rams. Probably not going to be picked 1 or 2 in the league, but they're going to expect to certainly be in the top half, if not in the top third of the Mountain West. Good teams ahead of him for sure, but it's Sundance's 3rd year now. He's got several guys, as I mentioned, in his core that know his system, and I'm sure he's excited about several of his newcomers. We'll ask him about that. And I think there's, like I said, reasons for optimism with this Wyoming unit here. What do you think, BJ?
Yeah, no doubt about it. Returning 4 of their top 6 scorers. Obviously having Nasmeyer, Caden Bennett both back. Double-figure scores last year is huge. And, they get a couple other guys, Rojas and is it Gores? How do I always screw that up. Yeah.
Gores.
I mean, to get both of them back is kind of contributing, players as well, I think is big. And then, they're very good, Tom, as you know, about the money ball and finding guys that either from lower level or lower colleges that maybe they can save some money on because they can see the analytics and project guys that some schools don't. They've been very good, trying to find those guys in years past. And some of the guys they brought in, whether it was Sondors from Louisiana Monroe, they got a transfer, Mike Mora from Cal State Monterey Bay as well. And then they added, I believe, a German center and a couple other guys in a red shirt. And Washington State transfer. So they're pretty good about finding guys that no one's heard of or seen much about, and they end up being solid players for them. So, in my initial Mountain West rankings here, Tom, and maybe I'm crazy, but I've got Wyoming 4th right now. I've got Wyoming as a top 4 team in the league this year, which I know some teams left, and that's part of it. But that is, just shows you what Sundance has in year 3 here, that he's already got them, top half of the league.
Yeah, I'm almost positive when the preseason rankings come out, they will either be 4th or 5th. I think the clear top 3 for most people, bias aside, a fan might go differently here, but the clear top 3 is going to be whatever order you want: Grand Canyon, New Mexico, Nevada, and then 4, 5 are going to be Wyoming and UNLV. So some will have Wyoming 4, some will have UNLV 4, but certainly, and that's why I said there's your top half. Now, there's some other teams, in that 6 through 8 spot that are going to have expectations to win games and get up into that 4 or 5 slot, but you can bet your butt that Sundance isn't expecting to finish 5th this year in the Mountain West. So, they have the pieces, and again, it's his 3rd year. So the next level up is to get in that top 3rd and fight for postseason. They made it last year, so they're going to expect to do that again. We got some good questions lined up for Sundance. Like we did with Ali, let's take a 30-second break and come back with the Cowboys head boss.
Find your sun with Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea. Made with real iced tea and real vodka. Cold, refreshing, and made for moments like these all year long. Let the good times cruise with Sun Cruiser.
Some job. All right, we're back on another night out west, and our coaching series continues. Tonight, joined by the one and the only Sundance Wicks, head coach of the Wyoming Cowboys, coming off of an NIT berth a season ago in the new look Mountain West. Coach, thanks for joining us. What are your first thoughts on how everything's going here in the summer?
Well, we're just always a pleasure, never a chore. First and foremost, gentlemen, always a pleasure, never a chore with you guys. But who knows what's going to happen right now, right? Like this. Just when you think things are settling in, Donovan Dent decides to come back to college basketball. He pulled. I think I saw someone say he pulled a Brett Favre today. He pulled a Brett Favre. He just came out of retirement, and he's.
Have you already reached out to him, Coach? Yeah.
Don't forget. Listen, guys. There's a couple things I know in life, man. There's things you can afford and things you can't. Okay, and that's one of them. So it's a known, and there's knowns and unknowns, and that's a known for us.
Yeah.
But it's crazy right now, guys. So you don't know if these 4-year guys, these true 4-year guys, are going to come back, or what's going to happen. But for us, we're just dialing into who we are and trying to stay healthy in the summer, obviously, as best you can, and get some of our new guys acclimated with the core group of guys that we returned, which is it's been fun for us. I mean, to be able to come out there for the first time in probably 4 years and just dial something up and tell them to do it, and then not have to reteach every angle or every respacing spot, or tell a guy what the hot spot is and have him look at you like you're on drugs. It's been fun to be able to have our guys that returned lead these guys into the new phase of our program.
You mentioned that retention. You guys did an awesome job bringing back 4 core guys. And at all different positions too. So we got Rojas at the point, you got Gores inside, you got Meyer and Bennett on the guard or wing, however you want to define those guys. So you kind of answered what I was going to ask as far as like, what does that do for you guys? And you spoke well to it. How are they acclimating with the new guys? You brought some freshmen, you got some transfers. How's it been so far here in your summer workouts?
Yeah, I think one thing that we try to do early on is just make sure we temper expectations, because I think everybody can get excited about returning 5 guys, but you're not going to play 5 guys all year long. So you got to get your other guys to come along. We talk all the time, but just because you're coming back doesn't mean you're going to be good. Just because people think you're going to be good doesn't mean you're going to be good. You still have to do the work, and you still have to make sure that, you dive into the process and not just skip these steps. And so the one thing I'm challenging our returners is leadership. I mean, that's sophomores that are new seniors, guys. I mean, I remember when Jay-Z said 30 is the new 20. I was really excited when I was 30, and Jay-Z came out and said 30 was the new 20. I was like, yeah, Jay-Z's right. Well, sophomores are the new seniors now. If you got a guy in your program for 2 years, I mean, that's like having an old wily vet. And it's funny to say that, but there is just such a growth gap from having 2-year guys versus having new guys every single year. And I've been on the side of having new guys every single year, up until this year for the last 3 years. So the leadership aspect now is where we got to really challenge guys to grow, because I think that's where you can kind of be, you kind of separate yourself from everybody else. Not saying that you're going to be Miami, Ohio, or have all that retention, but retention does matter. If you look at last year's Mountain West, I think the teams that retained the most guys had the highest levels of success, top down. And then I think that's going to be a big part in who we are and who we're going to become. And then just showing the ropes for the new guys, not having to sit there and show tapes of Boise State being freaking physical and telling guys like, it's hard to play in the pit. And they go, yeah, it's hard to play in the pit. Trust me. It's, the border war is a big deal. Well, how do you know the border war is a big deal unless you've been here?
They've lived it.
So just because, not the experience is going to pay off.
Well, tell us about one of those returners, Naz Meyer. And I know, obviously, your leading returning scorer and, led the team in 3-point shooting last year as well and did a lot of great things for you. Obviously, having a guy like that and a known commodity is going to be big for you. But what's his outlook, and where can he kind of take his game to the next level?
Yeah, Nasty Nas. We like to call him Nasty Nas. First of all, he's an unbelievable human being. Like, he's probably one of the greatest kids I've ever coached, just as far as his humility and he's so curious. His curiosity is phenomenal. We watch more film than anybody else in the country, and him and Gavin Gores are in my office every single day. They're sponges. And really, like, he could play point guard for us. I mean, he's developed in the offseason. He really spent a lot of time in the offseason trying to become a 6'7" kind of Shea Gilgeous-Alexander type player, where he can run point for us as well. And then we'll have a chance to have a really big lineup out there with maybe Nas at the point and Gavin at the 4. And then we got Neil Summers at 6'9" or Linus Roof at 7 feet in the center. We got a chance to have real good positional size. I tried to model this team after the old Mountain West, not the new Mountain West, because I wanted to be big and physical like everybody else was. And I think that could be an advantage for us with Nas being able to run some time at the combo, but he also could play every single position. He leads our team right now in assisted turnovers. He leads our team in threes right now. He's literally a Swiss Army knife. He's doing everything for us, and we're going to ask a lot of him. But that doesn't, guys like Caden Bennett are going to have to step up and do more than they did last year. We're going to try to play Gavin more at the 4 to kind of have more of a Tyson Degenhart type feel, for those guys out there to know who that guy is. He's pretty good. So to be able to have that little 4-5 swing guy. And then obviously Neil Summers is kind of the guy that we stockpile draft picks. Like, he's a combination of Robbie Avila and Cameron Krutwig. Like, Neil Summers has got the best feel of a guy I've ever coached. He leads us in assists right now in the middle of the summer. That's how good of a passer he is. And then Rojas has become an absolute straight up sniper. He's breaking every single shooting record we have in the summer right now. And that's kind of what we wanted him to become into, but it takes time. It takes time. And I appreciate these guys sticking to the process and becoming, letting the process of becoming happen.
You mentioned Caden Bennett, 10.2 points per game, 4.9 rebounds, tied for the team lead there. Also made 45 threes and was second on the team in 3-point shooting as well, over 80% from the foul line. I mean, pretty good assist to turnover ratio, like over 2 to 1. Like, what you mentioned, he needs to kind of take that next step. Where's that for him?
Yeah, just like, I think overall aggression, right? Like, there's going to be, like, him and Nas are going to be a formidable 1-2 punch right there. And just the overall aggression offensively, the one area he had to improve on was finishing at the rim. The average Mountain West team was 60% rim percentage, like finishing. And I think he was at like 46 last year. So he's going to have to be able to finish at the rim more, or at least be able to pin fouls and draw fouls and get to the free throw line more. And that's one area he has, but his defense is phenomenal. His instincts are phenomenal. He's a no mistake guy. And then he's going to have to take on more of that responsibility with Leland Walker and Dennis being out of here. Him and Nas and Uriah are really going to have to take on and shoulder a lot of that scoring responsibility while not sacrificing their defensive integrity.
Let's transition to a couple of your newcomers. You mentioned Summers. He redshirted for you guys last year, so he is familiar with the program. A couple guys that I'm intrigued by, Mike Mora, a non-D1 transfer, but you've had success at Wyoming. There's been some other programs in the conference that have had success with non-D1 guys. And the other one that I'm curious about, and I've heard a little bit of buzz, is Micah Curtis, who was injured this past season. Talk to us about Mora and Curtis.
Yeah, with Mike, you guys know the movie Office, the series The Office, right? Like we always joke, we need prison Mike, all right? We need prison Mike here. Like that's, he's the D2 guy coming up. And the one thing that I literally met with him yesterday, he's shooting the ball really well, right? And he's like, man, it's a lot harder at this level to get into the paint, make some of those plays. Well, Obi Agum, Adam Harricow, Quell-Cott, the things that they did at the Division II level that they can't do here, which is get to the paint a lot. One thing they did really well that translated was shoot. Obi shot the ball really well. Adam Harricow shot the ball really well. Quell-Cott from Fort Lewis shot the ball really well. Like Mike's shooting the ball well. That translates. The shooting's a separator, and that translates. He's a big physical body. I'm like, don't worry about not being able to get into the paint like you used to against some of those guys at the lower level. It's probably not going to happen here. But as long as your gravity's real, you'll be a weapon for us. Smart player, unbelievable character, like in the gym, always watching film with us. But his shooting is going to be the deal that separates us. Just having like another, 6'6" guy that can really stretch it, and then positional size when it comes to switching and defending. The guys at the level, they just have to get used to the physicality here. Like it's funny, it sounds cliche to say, but it really is. I mean, you come up a level, the speed and the physicality just changes at such a rapid rate, and I think that'll be an area of growth for him. I know Micah Curtis, like Mike has got he's the stockpiling of the draft pick for this year. He's our Neil Summers this year. He's got a ways to go with his back stuff still. He has another appointment today to get it checked out, but he's got all the talent and all the ability, and he's a very, very, very gifted player. But that only works if you're on the floor, right? The best ability is availability, and so he's just got to work on becoming available. And I'm not sure if it'll be, sooner or later, but at some point he's going to be available and he's going to be really good. And so I don't want to rush him back. I want him healthy.
What about the UL Monroe transfer, Saunders, as well?
Yeah. So you guys remember Sim Sadi for us last year. Raynars is a lot like him, just proven more at the Division I level, banged over 45 threes last year. He can play 4-5. He's long, he's lanky. He can really, really shoot it. And so for us, we're going to use his gravity as a weapon. Teams that want to drop coverage on you, you'll play him as a small ball 5 and have him pick and pop. But you can also play him as a big ball 4 and really exaggerate your gaps with some of these guys. We put a lot of spacing out there. We put a lot of gravity out there this year by design. We wanted size, physicality and shooting. So we could have switchability defensively, but also have gravity offensively.
One of the things you guys utilized in the non-con and early portion of the season last year to your benefit was the home court, your depth, the altitude, getting up and down, more possessions. You foresee that for this season as well? You got enough bodies to do that? Are you going to continue with that to try to just get teams worn down by the time you're in the 35th minute, that under 8 timeout when you're playing in Laramie?
Yeah, I think this team's going to be different this year, by design. Just not going to be as small and not going to be as fast. So our design is going to be a little bit more physicality and try to wear you down physically up here. Still push pace and tempo when we can, but a little bit more strategic in some of our scheme there. And then strategically, scheduling wise, just losing games because we were playing 20 conference games in the Old Mountain West, losing some of those games. We got a tougher non-conference schedule this year, just because we're going to have to. And so when you lose teams that are perennially, floating in the top 50 or better, you're going to have to go out there and challenge yourself on the road. So we're going to play more road games. It's non-conference. Get out there and challenge ourselves, and you can do that a little bit more with some experience. And got to challenge guys. I thought our conference schedule was good for our team last year. Our non-conference schedule was good for our team last year, but it didn't really help us prepare for the league. And so just got to be a little bit more prepared for the league. It may take a couple hits in the non-con early, but that's okay. Like we all know, like you're trying to build yourself up so you can be better in the Mountain West and better for our league.
You're headed to Chapel. You're headed to Chapel Hill, right?
Yeah, we're headed to Chapel Hill. Going to the Dean Dome. And then we'll have a couple other that haven't been announced yet. Just good, like leveled mid-major slates, neutral sites or aways.
Let us know, Coach. We can break some news on the show here. Come on.
Yeah, I'd get killed by my own media and marketing people right now. You guys would be the one-on-ones right there.
Well, you mentioned kind of just building this thing going into year three here, Coach. And obviously the first year, 12-20, you only go 5-15 in the league. You didn't finish the year, very strong that first year. But you come back last year and do what you did. And Tom mentioned getting to the NIT, but going 18-13 in the regular season, you get up to 9-11 in league. And then I know you lost your last two games, obviously, which was disappointing. I mean, you were right there in the Wichita State game and there to win that game. But just how do you feel in terms of your plan here? And I don't know how, if you had a 3-year plan, a 5-year plan, but are you kind of on track? And what is the next step, this season that you'd like to see your team take?
Yeah, so I have it written up here. I write a lot of things down, but like the first year was stabilize, right? We had to stabilize the program and just get it to a point where, we got the last job in the cycle. First year was stabilized and year 2 was revitalized. We wanted to bring a little bit of energy and spark and life back into the program. Kind of get people feeling the buzz and the love about it. And when you say revitalize, you want the care factor to become high again with the community where they're circling, basketball season. They want to get season tickets. They're excited about it. And a lot of that revitalization too is that retention piece is, fans they love connection, man. Like anybody does. We're a society that loves connections. Humans crave connection. And so they want to feel like they're a part of it. And to have those guys come back and really commit to the Cowboys again for another year, I think is gonna be the spark that we need for our home court advantage. And so it's stabilize, revitalize, and then I have terrorize up here. That's the third one. And so for me, I want to go terrorize the new league. And I put in our plan in my interview process with our AD, with Tom Berman and our guys. When I got the job, is like year 3 we need to be competing for championships. And I had no idea at the time that we were going to there was going to be a new Mountain West and all this stuff, but we were going to build it up to the point where in year 3, if we're doing it right, we're retaining 50% of our production, literally written down in my suspense file here. Retain 50% of our production and then go compete for championships. And so we're literally right on pace where we need to be. But just because we're right on pace doesn't mean. But we are where we're supposed to be and where I wanted us to be. And so now we got to go take that next step. And we're still going to have that underdog chip. Look, I don't remember the last time Wyoming's been picked to finish higher than like 7th or 8th in the league, and so I don't expect it to be a much different this year. Maybe a little bit of war of attrition here. But nobody's going to call us the favorites this year, and we're okay with that. And we want to come from the blind side.
I'm glad you mentioned the connection with the fans, because I said that last year, and I remember you responded to it when I said during the middle of the season, you guys need that. You need that home court. You need the fans to come out more than just against the Colorado State, right? And you guys deserved that last year, and I think you'll get a little bit more of that this year with some of that familiarity, because we've talked to other coaches about it, and we're not blind to the fact that it's difficult to make that connection when it's an entirely 90% new roster every year. And I hate to say I don't blame the fans, but it's just difficult. You get some diehards, but otherwise, who's that and where did he go and why are we not? So I get it. But the last thing I wanted to ask you about, you kind of alluded to it at the top. The news, there's so much stuff going on. It's confusing for me. I can't imagine how it is for you and your staff, but we get, the 5th
I put the magazine together in July. Come on now, Tom.
Well, but so the 5th year guys, it's going to start next year, right? As of a month ago. Well, then we get a judge in Ohio last week that's going to grant these guys eligibility. And now we're going to get guys in Colorado yesterday. They're going to file suit. And now Dent announces today. But who's eligible? Who's not? How much is that is it bothersome to you? You just roll with it? Are you planning for keeping roster spots open? How do you deal with all this uncertainty and the constant changing of the rules and what's happening?
Yeah, I think you have to be able to pivot quickly nowadays. I do believe it's why a lot of the coaches that I respect a ton and have, been guardians of the game have decided to say, you know what, I'd be better off in the booth. I could go be on television and not have to deal with this stuff. And it's why guys make leaps. I'm not saying Dusty did it because of that, but at the end of the day, if you want to coach basketball, this isn't the job for you anymore. Right? That's you got to be a general manager. You're literally putting together, professional payrolls and salaries, and recruiting has changed expeditiously, like over just now. Like, a lot of times, like, why are we're going recruiting right now? We have no idea who's going to be available or what rule could change. And so you just control what you could control, and for me, I'm an adapt or die type of guy, right? And you got to pivot on the fly. I think it's a young man's game nowadays. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but you could be an old dog and learn new tricks and have a young heart and want to stay in it. Like I like the guys like Patino. I like Patino's out here being like, dude, I'm ready for this stuff. Like, bring it on. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate that because he's got real juice and he's young at heart and this game keeps him young. And there's guys out there that complain and gripe about it. But at the end of the day, dude, like, what's that going to do for us? The complaining and griping ain't going to do anything for us. The game's changing. Adapt or die and play by the new rules or get left in the dust. And I think University of Wyoming, I'll give credit to our new President Reeves, and our athletic director administration is, I didn't know how long it would take for us to get to a point where we're playing the new rules. We're playing the game that we should play. In year one, I thought we were starting outside the ballpark. And now here we are going into year 3. And I know going into year 4, we'll be playing the game that everybody else is playing. And that gives you a competitive advantage, because if some teams aren't or some places aren't, you're going to be starting at first base while somebody else is outside the ballpark now. So just play the hand you're dealt and play the game, and try not to be the late objector and be the early adopter, right?
Well, Coach, we did the show was called Another Night, in the Mountain West, and then once the leagues kind of separated, we want to keep it going and cover both leagues, so we changed it to Another Night Out West. And earlier in the show, we did have Ali Farokhmanesh, Colorado State, join us a short time ago, and I believe you guys are continuing that series, correct? And just what is your thought on the separate leagues? And we're seeing a lot of scheduling agreements where it's still happening, and it doesn't seem like, at least amongst the basketball coaches, there's a lot of issues with scheduling each other because you all need games and stuff. What do you make of just how that's all shaken out?
Look, it's good for the game, right? Like, it's all good for the game. People could complain about things, and we want things. If you go back to the history, we've been in the WAC. We've been, we've been in the WAC. We've been in the Mountain West. Like, teams have been changing leagues for a long time. This isn't the first time, and I'm just happy that the border war continues. Right? Like, that's just a big deal. We want to be one of the longest standing rivals in college basketball history, and we want to continue that. And Ali wasn't going to let it die. I wasn't going to let it die. And it just means too much to be 45 miles away and to be able to have a good opponent and play you. Right. And then I think from a scheduling standpoint, there's not a lot of teams out West, right? Mm-hmm. Like all the like if you go across the Mississippi River, man, and you go to the East Coast, those guys can, in an hour radius, there could be 100 teams that they can go schedule. Out here, we got to be able to keep some of these Mountain West pack rivalries alive, because one, we're all good teams. We're not going to hurt the numbers, and you need to play good opponents to be able to make sure your WOB or your net or whatever you want to call it, stays in a good place to be able to try to get an at-large bid or fight for the NCAA tournament, especially with the expansion. And so, do yourself a favor and play in your own time zone, versus having to go travel across different time zones and get all messed up. Play in your own time zone. So I don't think basketball coaches have, at least out here, I haven't felt like nobody wanted to do something. I felt like people were really open to the idea of playing. And I like some of these games that are popping up for teams. I like New Mexico scheduling Wichita State. I think it's a great game. And we played them, and I thought that's a high quality game because both teams are going to be good. And so those are just like when they played VCU last year. I think that's why we scheduled the way we did this year. Those games will be separators for you in March, if you take care of business.
Are any of those, you don't have to name it, but are any of those ones that you're too secretive to tell us right now? I mean, is there a chance a Pac-12 road game could be on there or something? Or is that something you're open to? Or is it would you take a check and go to a Boise State or a Utah State? Or does it have to be a home and home at this point with where you're at? Or how are you?
Hey, look, we take a check from those guys. Like, they're not paying us to come play them, right? And so I take the home and home. We haven't got to look. No matter how this changes, one thing will stay the same. Nobody likes to come to Laradice, baby. Okay, and so they'd be happy to play the home and home if they could get 2 home games out of it, right? but they ain't coming back to Laradice. That's why I gave all those coaches parting gifts last year when they showed up for the last time.
I remember.
I gave Leon a whistle. He's the best ref I've ever seen, And so I said, Leon, take it easy on these guys, man. You're the best official I've ever seen. I know he's always right. It's unbelievable. I gave Dutcher a can of oxygen.
I remember.
Yeah, they don't want to spend any time in Laradice. I'm like, at least enjoy ribbon chop, Dutcher, just for one more time.
Great place. Great place.
That's why you're one of the best, Coach. So listen, as we had you on last year, we'll get you on this year after some big W's, maybe non-con, maybe during the conference season, hopefully both. A lot of good stuff going on out there. We talked about all of it. Hopefully the fans come out and support you guys. We got an expanded field this year. You're challenging yourself in a non-con, so let's hope all that kind of mixes together and has you guys in discussion then come February, March for some of these postseason bids. And we'd love to have you back on.
Amen, guys. Whenever you need me, I'm at your call, brother. Let's go get it done. Go Poke.
All right.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Go Poke. Thanks, Sundance. Take it easy, Coach. What a great interview that guy is. How can you not just get the juices flowing, BJ, when you're listening to Sundance talk?
We could have gone even further there probably too. He's just likes talking, and nobody likes to come to Laradice. That is I was actually talking to my mother-in-law at dinner last night about just the change in the league and the travel now and not, figuring out how to get to Pullman and how to get to Corvallis, you're taking away Laramie, where you had to fly to Denver and drive 2.5 hours. And then you're taking away, Air Force and some of those where there was a little bit of tougher travel.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Tom, no one ever looked forward to that one. I mean, coaches, it was always a sneaky, tough game they never liked. There's a reason Brian Dutcher, never wanted to try to go there because of the elevation.
Right.
And there wasn't usually never that big of a crowd and snowing and cold. And it just always was one of those kind of trap type games. And, especially for fans and everybody else where you got to, fly to Denver and drive and all that. But if you're not chartering there, but it was, it's, he's come in there and really re-energize them. And what was the 3 words he used, Tom? Stabilize, revitalize, and terrorize. And, the way he's got them going, I think here, they're ready to terrorize some people. I think they got a nice roster, and hopefully they do get some fan support this year, because I think Sundance, some of his energy is, I don't want to say fake, but he's always like so high energy, high whatever. Like, can he really keep that up all the time? But it looks like he can, and he's got players buying in there, and it sounds like boosters and everybody else, and I think they could terrorize some people in year 3 here.
So here's the things I wanted to comment on, and not without follow-ups. He mentioned, and I said this before we brought him on, that he wasn't going to accept, or take finishing 4th or 5th in a conference. And what did he say when he explained what terrorize meant? He said by his 3rd year, when you asked him, he expected to be competing for championships. So that's number one. And he knows he's not going to be picked 1st or 2nd or 3rd, just like he said. Now they're going to be picked higher than 7th or 8th this year, largely because of the handful of teams that are gone. That would have likely been picked above Wyoming. But they're still not going to be picked in the top 3, and he's fine with that, and his guys are fine with that, okay? But he expects to compete for championships. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean he has to win one, but to compete for one. So what does that mean? Well, that means with like a week or 2 left in the regular season, you're within a game or 2 of first place, Grand Canyon, New Mexico, Nevada, whoever it is, and you're playing meaningful games with a chance to win a championship. You make the semifinals of the Mountain West tournament in March with a chance to get the automatic bid, right? So that was number one. Another thing that he mentioned was, I thought it was interesting early on in the conversation, he mentioned positional size on his roster, and not just that, but how he kind of modeled it after the old Mountain West, right? I don't know with this year's Mountain West that we're going to see the size that we've seen in the old Mountain West, okay? So, and he flat out said when I asked him if they were going to play the same style as last year, right? It was a lot of up and down, as I mentioned, high possession games, especially in the non-con when they were better than teams, and that's how they kind of stretched some margins out and helped their metrics. They're going to play a little bit differently this year. Not that he won't ever run. He said they'll do it situationally, but they'll be a bit more physical, bigger, and so they'll play differently. And I don't know that a lot of teams in the Mountain West are going to have that size. We talked about in the portal episodes at the start of this spring here that bigs were getting overpaid for. So any quality big was unlikely to stick around in the Mountain West or the Pac-12 largely, right? And so there's a dearth of quality bigs in the Mountain West. So if Sundance has a big roster, good for them. The other thing was the scheduling thing and how he scheduled differently from last year to this year. And I did want to mention, he said, I didn't want to be the one to end the border war. Ali didn't want to be the one to end the border war. I just saw today or yesterday, I think it came out, that Washington and Washington State, speaking of the Pac-12 school, first time since 1917 that they will not play in basketball. So,
they're having an exhibition.
They are playing an exhibition?
Yeah, they're going to play an exhibition, but it won't be a real game.
Okay, well, I mean, what does that count for? But point
the streak
being,
still ends, I guess, if you say regular season or whatever. But
I guess, but man, that's over 100 years of tradition that they couldn't keep going here because the league split. So it's, who knows in 9 years, if Ali or Sundance or both are not there, who knows if they'll schedule each other. But for now, it's nice to keep it going. And the last thing I'll say is this is stuff that I've talked about for years, way before I started this show, talked about it on my pod. The coach is leaving. He pointed it out. All the guys that dip before their time is up because it's the landscape. You asked him, I asked him questions about it. He knows how it is, and he's accepting of it, and adapt or die. He adapts. He's got the energy to do it now. Some of those guys that are up in their 50s, your guy Bill Self is probably next on that list shortly, right? But your Jay Wrights and your Tony Bennett's and, all those guys, Roy Williams, people like that had more time to give. They just don't. It's not the right thing for them anymore. And so it's for the younger guys like Ali and Sundance and some of the other ones that we've talked to. But just interesting stuff there, man. Good, great interview. And I'm excited for that to watch them go this year. Larry's a big Lobo fan and he loves Sundance. I know he likes Sundance, so that's interesting.
Yeah, no, that was great interview, and I'm high on their team this year, and that should be a pretty. I mean, on a neutral floor, what's the spread for that game?
Against who? Wyoming?
Well, I know it's I don't know where it is this year, but I'm just saying if it was on a neutral floor, what would a spread be for CSU and Wyoming?
Yeah, I mean, you would probably
CSU -6 or something, probably.
Oh, not on a neutral floor. They'd only be probably a 3-point favorite on a neutral floor. So I have a feeling it's in Fort Collins because. CSU, I think I rationed this out in my head. The CSU game is at the Colorado game is at Colorado and Boulder. And
now that would be one where, and I think I heard Boise State and Nevada actually talked about doing this, and it never happened. But you got to fill 16 non-conference games or whatever in the Pac-12, and I don't know how many you have to fill on that side. But when you're talking saving money for travel and driving an hour up the road, and you're talking about getting a quality game, that would be one where you could do a New Mexico State, where they used to play twice in the same season. I could see Colorado State, maybe not, but I mean, I know the rivalry and all that, but you can get a home and home with a hour bus ride, and then you don't have to, because sometimes they're arguing who gets the first home game, who starts the series at home, all that.
Yeah,
I mean, play twice.
The only thing with that is that you would have to play it so close together, right? Like, you're not going to play it the first week. You're not going to play it in January.
Why not start the season with that?
Yeah, all right. Well, I don't think it's the worst idea. I just don't think they're going to do it.
They won't.
I think if you only have one matchup, it adds everything to that matchup. You've seen it with Colorado and Colorado State the last few years. But if the Rams are going to be in Boulder, I'm going to guess that they would play the home game against Wyoming, and then they would alternate years from there. But who knows? We'll have to wait. Schedules are starting. Final non-conference schedules are starting to leak out here for many teams. So I think it's just a matter of time until we see them for some of the Mountain West and Pac-12 schools, and we'll get to see a finalized schedule. But yeah, I mean, maybe that's something that'll take place at some point. But who knows? It's up to the coaches if they could agree to that. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. What do we got next week, Tom? I think we're going Grand Canyon, UNLV. Are we taking next week off? I forget the schedule here.
No, we're good next Sunday. The following Sunday, I will be away on vacation. So this coming week, we're going, as you mentioned, Josh Passner from UNLV, Bryce Drew from Grand Canyon.
He's selling his program.
Yeah, I saw that. That he apparently then was told to clarify his comments, and so I don't think the administration liked that. You know, he was speaking a little hyperbolic, but I don't think everybody understood that.
Well, then
And,
his media team there put out a whole graphic about how it was for sale and what you could buy for that price and all this. So they're all in on that.
Yeah, that's true. Well, hey, it's only a matter of time, right? I mean, you got all kind of private equity in these conferences. So, I mean, as weird as it sounds, like at some point, you can't tell me that there won't be individuals that have ownership stakes in programs, right? Whether it's the entire athletic program or whether it's just like a softball program or a volleyball program or a basketball program. Like, I don't know. Why not? If these
everything's
guys
got a
can-
price. Everything's got a price
Well,
as a
of
booster.
course.
You pay enough money, they'll let you make decisions on who plays. I mean,
people have arenas that they've donated, right? Like the guy in Vegas, you know, who's the guy in Vegas that has his building in Houston, right?
the Fortello, not Fortello.
Something for
yeah.
I can't think of the name.
Ferrettis,
That's my point. So it's coming. It's not going to come this year. You know, Pastor might not even be there when it happens, but you know, I'm sure when we wake up in 10 years, there will be ownership of these, because let's face it, it's not the true amateur athletic model that the NCAA was founded on 100 plus years ago, right? Like the next thing we'll have, like, you know, the gambling logos on the jerseys as they're out there playing and stuff. So, you know, that's just where we're headed. But anyway, good stuff with our two guests tonight. Really good interviews. And it, you know, as I just said a minute ago, the future of college basketball and guys like this, right? It was great last week to have the veterans on, Leon Rice and Vance Wahlberg. They could tell you stories going back in the day and reminisce about how it was when they started. The guys we had on tonight, they're the new blood, right? They're in their early stages of their career where they got a lot of promise and positive days ahead of them. You know, they are the kind that are going to adapt, because if you don't adapt, you're going to get eaten alive. They know how to do it. They're in different leagues, but you know, their programs are, I think, on similar footing in that they're trending the right way. We know Colorado State has a bit more resources, a bit more, you know, investment, money, all those things than Wyoming does. But all things being equal, pound for pound, I guess, you know, they're in similar positions for me where they're trending up in their respective leagues in terms of men's basketball. Anyway, I can't speak to the rest of the athletic programs, but from a men's basketball perspective, they're trending up. They got good coaches in place. They showed that with how they retained, I'm sure, most of the guys that they wanted to retain, and they got good things in store for them as we move forward here.
Yeah, no, it's two good guys, two good interviews. It was a fun show.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay, let's thank the sponsors again. You see down there, Sun Cruiser. BJ's been working on one, the pink lemonade. They got various flavors. They go down easy in the summer. I got one right here. This is the old one, but I will dig one out next week. And
Sunday night, we'll have one together, Tom.
I will get after it live on the show. Also, Circa Sports. BJ read off that incredible opportunity early on in the show, but with the NFL contest going on in a month. Don't even need to be there. You can have a proxy do it for you. So get some information on that at the bottom there. Please go subscribe if you have not already done so at Another Night Out West on YouTube and watch it through there. Appreciate all of you guys being here and watching. Hour and 20, not too bad. Good stuff, good thoughts. Appreciate you guys being here. BJ, any final words?
No, appreciate it. Good show. Looking forward to Josh Pastner and who we have? Josh Pastner and Bryce Drew. Yeah, yep. So we'll talk some Grand Canyon, some UNLV on Sunday night. Going to be fun.
Back to a regular night next week. So a day shorter, only 6 days to wait. Incredible. 2 episodes in 7 days you get. So we'll be back next Sunday with another episode of Another Night Out West. Thank you all for being here, and we'll catch you on the other side.